Yo, what's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Prison Break Raw. I'm your host, the one and only Big JD. Go ahead, get this channel, subscribe, share, leave some messages or comments, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. You know what to do. A positive message or a negative message. These two approaches tend to often get misunderstood and confused to the point to where anytime you are faced with something that makes you feel uncomfortable, you run in the opposite direction. You think it's pessimistic, you don't want to hear any bad news. You just want to put your blinders on. You want to see all the crimsons and clovers and peaches and cream and tulips and doves and all that stuff, blue skies. And you don't want to see the real picture of life itself. There is always going to be something that goes wrong. It's just the way Murphy's Law works in everything in life. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. It's not being negative to the point to where it's destructive. There's a balance that you have to lay in between the two. We're going to get into all of that, all the positive motivation, negative motivation, all the different ideas and approaches that you could actually be considered, that could be considered to be negative, and ones that could be considered to be positive but aren't really positive in themselves. So let's start off with the most obvious one of all, prison. Prison is considered to be a very negative environment. It's a very negative, dark, depressing experience that you just want to get out of. That's the theory of it. That was what it was designed to be. Prison wasn't designed to be a country club. It wasn't designed to be a place of pleasure, privilege, or happiness. When a society in the United States and any country in this world creates a set of laws, the population needs to abide by these laws, or else they are taken out of society for a prescribed amount of time, whatever is deemed necessary by the law, in order to correct this person's behavior. This is the theory of what prison is. This is the idea of why people get sent to prison and get taken out of society. If you're considered a threat to society in any way, shape, or form, you are sent to this dark, negative place in order to correct you. You would have to ask yourself, how does a dark, negative place correct somebody and set them straight? Anybody that's all about only the positive and they want to avoid all and everything that is uncomfortable would say that it is not beneficial at all. But I can't totally disagree with the approach of prison, because there are a lot of people that need to be in there. I know this well because I was in there. And I've seen the kind of people that are behind those walls. And I've read a lot of paperwork on people that were behind those walls. So, a negative environment like a prison, right, always has an upside to it if you really put forth the effort in order to take advantage of all the resources and programs that are accessible to you. That's the positive side of being put into an institution. Same thing as the military. You go into a boot camp, you have some drill sergeant yelling in your face. He's calling you a maggot. He's disrespecting your mother. He's disrespecting you. He's breaking you down. And for all the people that all they want to hear is a positive message all the time, that is quite negative. However, look at the upside to it. This drill sergeant is not supposed to be your friend. He's not supposed to make you into a lover or make you happy. He's developing you into a soldier that is going to possibly be put into a combat situation sometime in the near future, and you better fucking be prepared for it or you're going to be dead. Simple as that. And the approach is negative. Scared Straight, the Scared Straight program, considered to be negative. Why? Because you have a bunch of grown men yelling in the face of juvenile delinquents, telling them they're going to fuck them in the ass, stab them in the throat, kill them, rob them, rape them, all this stuff, sell them to another inmate. But the positive upside to that message is those kids get scared straight. It's tough love is what you can call it. The same thing in the military, it's tough love. Don't know if you can call prison tough love, but it is definitely a tough concern approach to developing rehabilitation and correction within an individual so that they don't recidivate again. I mean, prisons aren't just designed to be all about the money and all about this and that and everything that a lot of people say. The idea is to protect the general public. I'm not a spokesperson for the prisons. I was an inmate in them for a long time, but I'm just telling you that this is what the idea of them is. So, they can be used for a positive in many different cases. There's a lot of different areas in life of things that could be considered negative. Think of a stand-up comedian, for example, right? When you go and you listen to a stand-up comedian, you're laughing, you're having the time of your life. But in reality, you could consider the comedian to be negative. Why? Because they're up there bitching about something. They're up there very melancholy, but the melancholy approach kind of is funny for some of these comedians. They're bad-mouthing other people. They're complaining about something, but they do it in a comical, entertaining way that makes you laugh. So there's a positive upside to that as well. We've talked about satire. I've done some satire myself, roasting, all these different things. And people would consider that to be negative. But is it really negative? If somebody gets roasted, or if somebody gets basically schooled in a way that is very sarcastic and arrogant and straightforward and coming at you all up in your face, slapping you with that dick of reality, if that approach has corrected the target's behavior, then you could basically rule out all the negativity and say that it is positive. Somebody can get something positive out of a person that appears to be negative just as much as somebody can get something negative out of somebody who appears to be positive. Here's how somebody could be considered negative when they're saying everything positive and they're telling you everything you want to hear. You got the person who's a motivator. He's a life coach. He's like the Tony Robbins in your life, or any other ones you could pull out of the hat. He's talking all this good positive energy stuff. You leave the room feeling great. Yet that person turns around, walks to the back of the stage, slaps his wife in the head. He's telling you to go on a diet and to eat better. He's back there stuffing Hostess cupcakes down his throat. He's doing all these things that contradict what he was just saying up on stage. For somebody like myself, being a realist and seeing the world not through a rose lens, would automatically, everything he said, it would disqualify it. Right off the bat, it would just kill everything that he said, because I can't look past who this person really is. I guess you could call it a curse, but is it really a curse? Is it possibly saving me from investing thousands of dollars into all these different approaches that somebody who brands themselves as being positive, and I come to find out they're really not, or they're a scam artist or whatnot, and it leads me to nowhere, right? It's just, it's basically all of this stuff is in the eye of the beholder is what I'm trying to say. It's like you can't really call somebody a negative person unless you totally know their whole life and what's going on in their life. If a person seems very down and he bitches and complains, yet he's got a lot of money, he's got a successful career, and he treats other people right, he just has a very abrasive approach to seeing the world through his eyes, you can't really call that person negative in total, because that person does a lot of positive stuff. These are the ideas and the way of thinking that really needs to be broke down, because you have different approaches to how you help people correct behavior that they can't correct themselves, to guide people, to give people motivation. You have positive motivation, you have negative motivation. We talked a lot about the negative motivation with what prison is designed to be. Yet somebody can go into prison for the first time and have a real horrible experience and never go back again based upon the experience. Would you say that that's negative now? Or did he get a positive out of it? You have to look at the world as a perfect balance between both sides. You know there's a lot of bad shit going on, but there's a lot of good shit going on as well. Standing somewhere in the middle and being able to see both of it and not having any high, unrealistic expectations of anything or anybody will basically put you ahead of the game. It'll give you that competitive advantage that puts you as a cut above the rest. It's called having strong emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence doesn't see negative. It doesn't see positive. It only sees everything as being a realistic probability of events, something that could possibly happen, anything that can go wrong. That's what it is. I had to develop this strong emotional intelligence in order to beat the recidivism trap that I was in going into these prison walls for so many years, because nothing else worked. I used to walk around. I was very upbeat and positive about how I'm going to get back out and how I'm going to slang that dope, how I'm going to make that money, how I'm going to get that whip that I love, get that bomb ass broad in my corner, get all these things, and I'm going to do it through criminal endeavors, right? It was positive. But guess what was the end result? It was a negative because I got arrested again and again and again, and I got put back into prison, and here we are. These are the things that makes a person a beast among the rest, a shepherd in the herd, because you have to be able to understand all the safety features and factors of life. You can't shelter yourself in this gumdrops and candy cane land type of an idea of life, and then when everything comes crashing down on you, you don't have any form of exit strategy or ability to cope with what just happened to you, because all you've been told is how to see things one way. A perfect balance between the two is what's called like the middle pillar, you can basically call it. You have two balancing scales, and you balance the two, and you learn how to use both of them to your advantage. And this is what I do to be successful every single day. This is how I beat prison for real, without having long drawn out antisocial behavior, without having a whole bunch of PTSD, all these other things that a lot of people get out of prison and have. You could tell it in just their approach, their delivery system, their demeanor, their manners, how they communicate, their inability to refrain from using excessive vulgarity and profanity in the way they describe something. A balance, a perfect balance to live by is to understand that you have to use these two in a way that can lead you to the greatest form of success. Some other notable figures in history I want you to think about real fast before I cut this off is other people that were considered to be positive, but they were really negative. Think, for example, Gandhi. When we think of Gandhi, we think of Nobel Peace Prize winner, the freedom liberator of India. But Gandhi was a very racist and a sexist person. Don't take my word for it. Do the research for yourself. When he was living in South Africa, he didn't like the black South Africans. As a matter of fact, he petitioned the courts to have Indians put on a higher pedestal above Africans because he believed them to be all kinds of different foul things that I ain't going to speak. Called them names that I'm not going to repeat, right? You could look it up yourself. And he's very sexist against women. And in a lot of countries, and a lot of this is coming out now, people are starting to move away from Gandhi as being that figure of positivity and peace that we all come to rely on and to see as the symbol and the optics of purity, power, and positivity wasn't really all that. David Koresh, Jim Jones, many different figures like that, considered to be a positive person of inspiration and power, have been very negative people off the scenes. Various different popes throughout the history of time. All these things, I could go on and on and on. Basically the idea of what I'm saying is take everything for face value and don't invest too much in somebody's message. Invest more in getting the experience out of it, right? When you don't have a lot of high unrealistic expectations of anybody that you receive information from, when they fall or they do something that's foul or fucked up, you don't feel like that you wasted your time by listening to this person. You could get the same quality of content out of anybody you listen to. You go to the comedian, he makes you laugh, he made you feel good, yet his message is actually pretty pessimistic and negative if you think about it. So these are the rules that I live by. Basic balance between positive and negative is a must, and it's a plus, and it always needs to be incorporated into everything that you do. Not having any unrealistic expectations of anything in life or any person or anybody. Don't expect anything. Always hope for the best and understand that the worst may come, but be prepared for it. That's all I'm saying. The only way that I was able to beat the trap that I was put in was by incorporating this thinking into my mind. Because at any given moment, any of us in this world are just one turn of the key away from entering the prison system forever or for an extended amount of time. And then the rest is history. So just give you some things to think about what positive is, what negative is. There's really no such thing as a positive or negative. It's all about your perception and your perspective and what you get out of the message itself. Other than that, there's only bad intentions, good intentions, but there's really no such thing as a positive or a negative message. It's what you get out of it always. And that's just my philosophy of life. Prison Break Raw, uncut, uncensored, no holds barred, non-sugarcoated, non-politically correct, all up in your face, slapping you with that dick of reality, and I'm out.